Hi, I'm Michael Stack, and I'm talking with Bruce McDowell of Cottage Country about his developments in rural Nova Scotia. Bruce, in your own words, why don't you explain to us what Cottage Country is?
Cottage Country is a rural real estate developer focusing on areas around lakes and in forested environments that are within an accessible distance from urban areas.
So now, what made you fall in love with this idea?
Oh my Lord. It's a bit of a story. At the time, I was living in Toronto, from Nova Scotia originally, went to Ontario at a young age, and as I worked in Toronto, I didn't feel comfortable there. I felt like people were always in a rush. And example, I lived in a high-rise apartment building, and when I used to go to work in the morning, I'd pass people in the hallway or on the elevator, and I would say good morning to them. And they'd turn their heads the other way. They wouldn't respond. I just felt that it was a very chilling experience. And the more that happened, the more I gained more of an appreciation for the quality of life that we have every day in Nova Scotia, and in most cases take it for granted.
So now, what were the first steps there?
Well, I had been involved in an automobile accident a few years prior to that, where there was an insurance settlement that came my way, and which I couldn't get until I was 21 years of age. And I decided before I turned 21 that I wanted to put that money into something so that I would have it for the future. So on my 21st birthday, I bought a piece of land near my home in Nova Scotia, 154 acres of property on a lake. And that's kind of what started. I had no intent initially to go into the development business, but shortly after I bought the property, I started getting letters in the mail from people that had heard that I had bought this property, asking me if I would sell them enough to put a camp on, or a cabin, or a cottage, or whatever. So my very first year of owning the property, I sold two lakefront properties. I called it my mail order real estate business. So that was the first year, and it just kind of went from there.
Now, how did it develop into neighborhoods?
Well, as the years went by, most of our clients kept asking if we could, if there was something coming along in the future that was, first of all, closer to the city, and secondly, that people were showing interest in wanting to live there as well. So over the years, we kept looking for properties that were closer to Halifax, and we just kept getting closer until recent years. We were able to acquire a property in the Mount Uniacke area, and we've been focusing pretty much on that for the last 10 years.
What kind of people live there?
Well, we have people from all over the world. They're primarily Nova Scotians, but we have a lot of people that are moving back from Ontario or out west, or the U.S. or other parts of the world. That when you're a Nova Scotian, most people's dream is to, at some point in time, come home. And so we have a lot of people that are moving back, that are retiring. And we also have a lot of our clients want to experience living in the country. They don't want to live in urban areas. They want to live in an area where they have space, where there's nature, where there's access to a lake. Basically speaking, the majority of the people that purchase in our communities, they're very like-minded. They're mostly there for the same reasons. They're very friendly. If you, for example, in our Loon Point community, we have kilometers and kilometers and kilometers of hiking trails. And an example would be if you happen to be walking your dog on one of the hiking trails and someone else meets you on the trail, you stop and you have a chat. So it's very friendly place to live, and people look out for other people as well. It's private. It's not isolated in any way. We try to make the properties as large as we can without them being isolated. But people still like to be able to look through the trees and see they have a neighbor. So it's always a balancing act trying to get it exactly right. But in the case of Long Lake or Loon Point, people really appreciate what we're doing there. And they express this all the time. They tell us, we love it here. I don't know how I can say it any better than that.
So how does that fit with your vision? Like, what kind of life are you trying to make for people there?
The original idea was to show people that live in urban areas, and in our case it was primarily people that live in the Halifax-Dartmouth area. When we started this business, it was to show people the quality of life that Nova Scotians have in the rural areas. And because we're very fortunate here. I mean, we have wildlife, we have clean water, we have beautiful streams and lakes and fishing, and I can just go on for hours. And when I was a child growing up in a little community in Lunenburg County called New Ross, it was nice to be able to go out the back door and cut an alder fishing pole in the spring and go down to a brook that was in back of our house in the forest, catch a fish and bring it home for lunch. That was a huge experience.
So you want to bring that to people?
Well, I think it's important to be able to show people that haven't been fortunate as we have to live in that kind of an environment, to be able to show them that lifestyle, which they, in many cases, have never known.
So that sounds like the things that make it a little different from like people who would say, oh, it's just another suburban development.
I guess you have to look at this from different perspectives, but I always think back to when I lived in Toronto. It was like trying to pack as many people into a small area as you could. This is totally different than that. This is trying to give people space. Use this as an example as well. You have children. For those children to be able to experience the things that we've been talking about is huge and will benefit them later in life. I don't know how I can answer that question much better, because that's like, it's an individual journey. Like people come to the country because that's the kind of lifestyle they're looking for. Most of our clients, they could live in the city, but they don't want to, especially the younger generation. Part of the reason why the younger generation is coming our way is because homes in rural areas such as ours are more affordable than what homes are in urban areas. I don't want to get into numbers, but we probably this year alone, we've sold in the area of 20 to 30 homes to people, young people like RCMP, police, city police, lawyer, insurance investigator, all different engineers, people that are professional but young, and they don't have a lot of money. So they come to the country because that's the kind of lifestyle they want, but they can also do that at a price that they can afford. So, I mean, we're just totally gratified that people are receiving what we're doing, and they're so pleased with the product we have to offer. I mean, it's very gratifying for me, and also all the people that work for us. I mean, we have a huge staff of people that come to work every day to create that kind of environment for the people that are coming to us. So all we're doing is we're fulfilling a need. We're fulfilling a need of people getting the kind of lifestyle they want and getting it at a price that they can afford. So I don't know, other than that, what more we could really do to help them.